I gotta get some
All
sleep,
right.
if I'm lifting weights.
There you go.
It was
So,
deadlift night tonight, so I'm pretty wiped out.
whew. Hey
Yeah.
man, I as soon as I didn't have to do leg days no more, I was done. Done. But I ain't gonna lie, I ain't been to the gym in a minute, bro. I lost 50 pounds without stepping foot in the gym one day.
I need
I
that.
just ate right. All I did was change my diet, 50 pounds. It didn't fall like that. That was like it was a solid 7 to 8 month journey, but it could have went faster. I think going to the gym would have made shit faster, but
Right.
anywho, everybody, please bear with us. We are sharing out the live stream to some different pages, to my own page, all of that jazz. But y'all know we will be talking about Dave Chappelle's latest skit, not skit, his latest special. So, what up, Mike? Hearts with you, brother. Stay strong, man. But yeah, continuing what we were talking about before we went live, like, man, some people ain't ready to set when some of these younger girls step in a space full of men that's like that kind of know they shit and that got experience in this space or even have a lot of experience in, like they just not everybody's ready for it.
Sure ain't.
Not everybody's ready for it. So it's something else. To give y'all a little bit of context, we were just in a clubhouse room that, somebody stepped into our space and they weren't ready. They were not ready. And it was quite funny because it was a very young woman. And, one of the guys in the room was like, "Ma'am, I've been in this shit longer than you've been alive." And it's just like, obviously that doesn't invalidate everything that, the young lady was saying, but,
This is how she was saying it. Like, come
that
on.
should give a little credence to what guys say. It's like, hey, we have an experience. We have a lived experience. These are things that we have seen. We didn't just come onto the scene yesterday,
Right.
or even 2 years ago. Like, we've been living life. We've been meeting a lot of people. We've been engaged with a lot of folks. And, I think it is giving everyone their due for their lived experience. And I think in a lot of times the young girls are used to being in women only spaces where they don't have to give men any space at all or give any men any level of respect. And the rock it was a little rough. So anywho, give me a second. I still got to share this out to a few more groups, get more
Oh,
folks
Sabrina.
in on this thing right here. Sorry, please bear with me. Please bear with me. Dave Chappelle. Have any of you guys actually saw Dave Chappelle in person?
Yeah.
I never saw him. I saw him in person, but it wasn't like he was like up on some type of platform, and it was in Times Square, basically. Yeah. Him, Donnell Rollins,
Okay.
some members of the Wu-Tang Clan, they was all out there.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Okay, we got this all shared out, so let's get it going. Got a couple people in here already. Got a couple guys on the way still. So, but yes, everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of the Men Like Us podcast, the podcast that is made by men for men who date women in the trans community. So please understand, this is a men's space. We're gonna come at stuff from a man's point of view, and we're gonna talk that shit that, in a way that's palatable to the ears of men, But we really gonna get into it tonight because we are talking about the latest Dave Chappelle Netflix special. I believe this is his fourth one.
Yeah, it's called The Closer.
Yes, so the fourth one called The Closer. You know, in his first 3 specials, he did. I don't know if it was all 3, but you know, in 1 or 2 of them, he talked about the trans community a little bit, and you know, he did the whole joke story. I don't know about like the community being in a car and everyone hating the tea and all that stuff. But either way, he had his comments, he had his jokes, and it is what it is. But this latest Netflix special, he, you know, Dave Chappelle, one who many might consider the GOAT. He spent a solid 30 to 35 minutes talking just about the trans community and his opinions on transness. And it was really, like, I have to be honest, the first like 35, 40 minutes of his shit, I was laughing. I didn't find anything too egregious where I was like, okay, I can't laugh at this. This is terrible. But once we got to that last half hour, it was very rough. And it was very, in my opinion, it was very cringeworthy. And we're going to dissect, we're going to get into all the shit. But, you know, he was telling stories and he was talking about his friend, a comedian named Daphne. I forget her last name. A white trans woman who was a comedian who killed herself after getting some blowback from the community for standing up for him, you know, in his previous specials. Obviously, none of us will know exactly what was going on in her mind when she died, just saying that this happened and then this happened. So yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty controversial. You have a lot of people saying that they will boycott Netflix. People are pushing for Netflix to take a special down, and you know they're looking for a lot of different repercussions for Dave Chappelle when it comes to his special and the words that he, you know, dropped out there, and just the ideas that he dropped out there. So we got a lot to get into, but I really should start off with this. Well, actually, hold on. First off, if you are watching this on YouTube, please do me the favor of liking this video. If you're watching it right now on YouTube, please like this video. Need you guys to start liking the videos a little bit more because the Boosie crowd is mad at me and they're coming in, dropping all sorts of hate in the comments, and they're downvoting all of my stuff. And it's been like turned like a switch. As soon as I start calling folks out, as soon as I became, you know, shitting on Boosie, as soon as I started calling out the Black community, it was. So could use a little support, y'all. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this video.
Boosie got a fan club? Oh
shit. Yeah, it's called the Black Community.
Okay.
But so, you know, first question right off top, guys, and I just want to hear your opinions on this. You know, did Dave Chappelle go too far? And I'll go to you first, Trail, since.
Oh man. Okay.
About it earlier.
Did
he go too far?
Me personally, you know, me liking that type of entertainment of comedy, I should say. That's what comedy is about. Going too far, pushing the limit. You know, making light of a situation that could be very serious. You know. And it's funny how who is this? The Black Coalition or something like that is calling for Netflix. So it's somebody.
I think it's GLAAD. GLAAD is going after him.
Yeah, I heard on Breakfast Club that the some type of Black Coalition is going after him too.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you know, all right, everybody has their reasons, but y'all gotta understand this is comedy. All right. Y'all know what type of time Dave Chappelle is on. He's been like this since his days on Comedy Central. You know, I watched him on Comedy Central. I loved his joint on Comedy Central, his show on Comedy Central, one of the greatest comedy shows ever I ever watched, and a skit show that ever had a pleasure to watch. And, you know, yes, Dave Chappelle do need to, how you say, educate himself. He do need to educate himself a little more. But He's not in the business of that. He's in the business of comedy. He's in the business of making people laugh. So he feels like whatever I say, majority of people is gonna laugh. That's the whole point of me doing this. You know, me personally, you know, like this is Dave Chappelle. This is Dave Chappelle. Look, this is his fourth special. This is his third time talking about the trans community. It's like at the point in time, you already know what type of time he on. It's like y'all gonna keep going after him for what? I understand, but it's like for what?
Okay. Corey?
You know, it's like a fine line, you know, between, you know, like pushing the limits and, you know, comedy. And in some ways, you know, when you push the limits and you use comedy to do it, it can, if it's done right, it can actually lessen the blow of certain things, of certain insults and whatnot. When you make it funny and you kind of take the power of, you know, the insult being an insult away from it, you know. So I kind of get what you know, what a lot of comedians try to do. And let me get my words together here. So, but at the same time too, like you know, I think he did, you know, push it a little bit, you know, too far on certain things, like talking about how, you know, he was like jealous, making a joke about he was like jealous of the community, about how far the LGBT community has gotten, and comparatively speaking to, you know, the issues that, you know, African Americans have faced over the years and all this stuff. I mean, that I kind of like, I don't know, I hadn't had a lot of time to really kind of, you know, break it down, fine tune my thoughts, because I worked like 12, 14-hour shifts. But that hit me kind of weird, and I didn't really like that comparison, because it's like, you know.
Well, we'll get to that part of it. That comparison definitely has something to do with the part of the conversation that's a little bit down the line, and we are definitely going to circle back to that one. So that's believe me, I'm going to dig into it at least. But you know, look, at the end of the day, I don't think being a comedian gives you just carte blanche to just say whatever you want to, however you want to. I think at some point, you know, for anybody, period, if you have a platform and you have the ability to influence the understanding and knowledge of people, many people, you know, that's a responsibility that you have to take seriously. And, you know, if you don't, and you're, you know, if you don't, you're just liable to be, you're liable to be criticized. I mean, I don't think Dave Chappelle's above criticism. I think, you know, I think he was trying to accomplish something, but he didn't have the necessary tools. He didn't have the necessary tools. He didn't have the necessary knowledge to really handle this. He just didn't. I mean, conflating biological sex and gender. He didn't have the lowest levels of understanding to be able to do what he was really trying to do. Because yes, we know Dave Chappelle has taken on serious issues and made them into funny things, or made them teachable moments for a lot of people. Let's be real, his audience is very mainstream, and a lot of times he confronts issues. He confronts issues that aren't completely what do I say? That not everybody is in proximity to. But yes, I mean, this is what he said was this. Thanks, Jasmine. I mean, Dave Chappelle said gender is a fact. You can never change your gender. Gender is a fact. Obviously, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, he believes he has. Yeah, of course. But I think it further goes to the hubris of celebrity that I'm Dave Chappelle. I can handle this conversation because I'm Dave Chappelle. Like, I am a comedy genius, and I'm going to tackle this thing, and I'm going to do it. And it's just like, dude, you're Dave Chappelle, and I fucking love Dave Chappelle. I love his show. His show has a special place in my heart.
Bro,
you know, that was the time of my life where I was young, and that was popular culture.
Right.
So I love it. I went to go see him in person. I was fourth row center in his show, and that was a life event for me, really. But you know, just Dave Chappelle was just way the fuck off. And I mean way the fuck off on certain things. He brought up, I mean, after hearing what some of the things he said, I said, God damn, how old is he? Like, I had to go look up his age. Dave Chappelle's 48. Yeah. And like he was throwing out very old stereotypes about women in the trans community. He was talking about, well, I'm looking for the Adam's apple. I'm looking for this. Your neck is thick, is like this, and you look like it's like all these old ass narratives that he was like, or not just old ass characteristics, trans characteristics he was pushing out there to the public, to the masses that generally know nothing about women in the trans community. Right. I mean, essentially, he is educating the masses on this shit, and that wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was bad. I wish he was prepared to take this on, but I just don't believe he was.
No, he don't care.
I don't believe it. That's an issue as well, is, you know, because I actually did a panel. I spoke on a national show, TV show earlier today about this, and they had this black comedian on there, and there was a black trans woman on the panel with me, and you know, he's using words like tranny and I'm sorry, I don't want to, and he was just like saying all this messed up stuff, but he just didn't care to take a second and be respectful. Like, when you make mistakes and you come in the spirit of respect, that shit don't matter. If any of my white friends come to me in the spirit of respect, it's like, hey man, like, I just want to know how to do this right. I want to know how to say X, Y, and Z. Should I be even talking about that? It's all in the spirit of respect. So if he messes up and says something fucked up about black people in that moment, I'm not too mad, because I know he's trying to learn. He's making an effort. Sorry, I know my signal might be getting messed up right now because I'm seeing the bars go down here, but I think he went too far. I think he went too far in some of his characterizations of the community. And I think I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I think he used the black friend defense. You know, I think he was really that guy that says, hey, I'm not racist, I have a black friend, and then just continues to do racist shit. I'm not transphobic, I have a trans friend, and then just says whatever the fuck he wants. And you know, like I said, I didn't hate the whole special. I think the front end of it was actually pretty hilarious to me. I enjoyed it, but you know, speaking on people's genitals, like, you know what's down there, and making assumptions, all that kind of shit was really, really too far and a little whack. And I try to be, I want to be relatable to a lot of folks out there, because I like Dave Chappelle. I think it's hilarious, but on this one thing, this one moment, he was wrong. And I think he just was, I don't think he was properly equipped. It was a recipe for failure. And it's really sad, because none of the other quote unquote greats spend time on a whole ass community like this. You ain't never seen Richard Pryor sit there and talk about one specific community for 30 minutes. Let that eat up 30 minutes of his show that will be seen by millions? No. Eddie Murphy? No. Yeah, Eddie Murphy had a little joke in the beginning, you know, the woo, woo. I'm sorry, the shit was funny to me. But that was just one joke. That wasn't no 30 minutes. I don't know. It's just weird. So, did he go too far? I think yes. But
well, if
I'm not here to cancel Dave Chappelle. I'm just here to be critical of a comedian that I like.
I'm not into cancel culture.
But we need to be free to be critical. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that, you know, he's made a few mentions in the past. I mean, obviously he's made jokes in the past about the trans community, and there's you know, I'm trying to remember. I seen a little bit of a special, not the last one he did before this one, but he made a brief joke about, you know, how, I believe them. If they wouldn't have, you know, cut it off or whatnot, I believe they're transgender. You know, making comments like that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, maybe he feels like he's been under attack. Because I mean, people have said some things before, obviously, and and being critical, putting it lightly. And I don't know, maybe he was kind of in a way, well, for lack of better terminology, maybe kind of like trying to make a stance, maybe, that I'm going to continue to make my jokes however I want to. So, boom, he put a whole 30 something minutes on the community saying that I'm gonna make my jokes because I'm Dave Chappelle.
I
Kind of has
think
that
that is
mentality.
definitely ego. I think that was Dave Chappelle's
Yeah, that's
ego
a good word.
because he was getting a lot of blowback and he couldn't let it go. He couldn't let it go. All he had to do was just let
He
it go,
he,
man.
he
Get
waged
back on
war
that
on.
horse, tell some fucking jokes, and you don't even got to mention these folks. But he did it. He couldn't not do it because I'm Dave Chappelle and I can do this. It's like you can't do everything, bro.
And
Can't win them
it
all.
seemed like there might have been some malicious intent there. What I mean, being a comedian is one thing, but maybe there's a little bit of malicious intent in there, maybe. But
Well,
I didn't follow Dave Chappelle like you did or whatnot. I mean, I've seen some of his specials in the past. Of course, I know Rick James, bitch. I mean, everybody knows that. But yeah,
yeah, and that's another something that Nicole just brought up. Like he's so old. It's shows his old timer thinking over him. Like really, that's another part of it. He's a 48-year-old black man.
Right.
Boosie is 10 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Like the average 48-year-old black man is on the same level as Dave Chappelle in terms of just not having any give a fuck when it comes to caring or not caring, but having respect for any member in the LGBT community. Like they're straight up and homophobic, anti-LGBT, all that stuff. And it's this whole like, man, I just want to be bothered with it. Why I got to do this for them? Like all this, and all folks are asking for is just a little human decency, and it's just like, how is human decency difficult? That's not a tall order. Not a tall order. And through his story, he proves that okay, I can be decent to people. He bought the girl a drink and all that stuff. Not gonna really go into his stories or whatever, but it's whatever. I just think his age has there's another dynamic in it because he's an older guy and he has older narratives, and that's not an excuse at all. That is not an excuse at all. But I think it helps people understand a little bit more. Like this ain't like it's just he's not as liberal as you think. That's what I'm saying. He's not as progressive as you would think. People assume that with him, but he's not. And another side of this really. So something that's coming up a lot. Whenever I see anybody offer up any level of criticism of Dave Chappelle, the main response people have is, "Oh, you too sensitive." Everybody too sensitive these days. Even Dave brought it up. Oh, this new LGBT is too sensitive. Where's the Stonewall LGBT? I like them motherfuckers. I like the old ones, and I don't like these new LGBT because they so sensitive. And I'm like, yo, dude, the old LGBT didn't have a voice. That's why you didn't have to hear from them.
Right.
Today people are empowered to be heard through platforms like this or their own platforms on YouTube, Twitter, all of that stuff. People will gang up and they will make sure that they are heard. And everybody being upset about, well, it didn't used to be like this, whatever. It's because people were marginalized and just silenced. Now people don't have to be silent anymore. And I think this whole, too sensitive reaction is some bullshit because you got to give space for criticism. I'm not running around with the pitchfork at Dave Chappelle, but he's wrong. But somebody being wrong doesn't mean I cancel everything that I loved about their previous work. I'm not going to lie. I'm not throwing away Chocolate Factory. So, and I ain't throwing away Thriller. So, I mean, I'm still watching The Cosby Show. Don't care. So,
I don't believe in cancel culture.
Yeah, and I feel you, but I think we really, Well, so that's another thing. You can't. Can you really cancel Dave Chappelle?
No.
Is that even possible?
No. People is really trying to get his show taken off of Netflix. Do you know how much money that man makes off of every special he does? You think Netflix is really caring about that? Why do you think that man why do you think he's on like his 4th special?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll give him more.
That man make about 50 million and better every time he gets a special. There ain't no canceling Dave Chappelle at all, ever.
I think Chantrell is really on it with this one. I mean, people are just tired of being disrespected, you know.
Right.
She says, Chantrell says, are we too sensitive or do we feel disrespected? The days of disrespect are gone. And I mean, I think that's what it really is, you know, people are just they're making their voices heard. They're not sitting in silence anymore, you know. But there needs to be room for criticism. It can't be, oh, well, why you got something to say? Oh, y'all just being sensitive. And it's just, I hate it. I hate it so much because, you know, I've been in a lot of Black spaces today and it's just been everybody complaining about sensitivity. And I'm like, really? Is that what we're doing? Okay. Like, I'm not running around here saying cancel, whatever. I'm just saying the last 20, 30 minutes of it sucked. And it was a mistake. And I think it's a mistake that will mar his pristine record. I mean, some comics put out shitty, you know, specials, but he hasn't up until this point. I'm not saying the whole special is shitty, but you know, this is kind of a thing on this record, in my opinion. I don't know. Go ahead, Corey.
Can I make a cross reference here of like 2 comedians? So, you know, we have Dave Chappelle. Now, there's one other comedian that I love, and you know, it was really sad to me the day he died. Ralphie May. Are you guys familiar with Ralphie May?
No. Is that the fat white guy?
Yeah, big heavy set guy. He was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Now, I loved his type of comedy because he would say some really off the wall shit, man. Like, he had this bit about cookies, all right? And he said every single racist word you could say, the N word, calling Hispanic people, you know, wet, you know. It makes me uncomfortable. I can't say it, even in trying to be respectful. But
you don't want to do that.
yeah. But he said all these words, right? But what he said is he set it up in a way that he had good intent, and he did it in I think in a genius way to let people have good intent. He's just trying to make a laugh, but also too trying to, you know, he was kind of a little bit political with it, but in a good way, trying to take away the hurtful power that a lot of these words would have. And his setup was, he was talking about how so here's what I want to do to get rid of these hurtful racist words. I want to make them no longer hurtful. I want to take their power away. He said, now, hear me out. And he did this whole hypothetical scenario of, let me take this cookie, we're going to make it the world's best tasting cookie, right? Best tasting cookie ever. Now remember, it's the best tasting cookie. When you eat it, it's instantly, you love it. And we make that cookie and we call it N-word. But he straight up said the word. And I was like, oh, damn. And it was, you know, but I mean, and he made that joke about he covered all the races and whatnot, and he was trying to set it up in a way to where it was like he got a laugh, but also too he was trying to show good intent that it was take away the hurt, you know, that these words have. And what I'm trying to say in comparison to Dave Chappelle, maybe he could have done something like that. And I don't know. I just thought that was a good point to bring in. That a lot of comedians, when they do jokes or whatnot, they kind of set it up in a way with like a little bit of a good intent, and also with a laugh, but also a little bit political because, you know, especially a lot of comedians these days, they got a little bit of politicalness sprinkled in with their comedy, you know. So
I mean, I think Dave has done something similar in the past where he, you know, you see comedians, they do this where they're like, hey, I just want to bring everybody together. And we need to stop, you know, we need to stop the division and this, and this. And they may, you know, say X, Y, and Z. But Dave didn't have that spirit of, you know, bringing everybody. That he wasn't bringing that with him. He was like, no, I'm the bad guy. I'm the villain. And fuck you. Yeah. Like, he didn't care. He didn't care. He wasn't trying to be like, hey, y'all, okay, look, we all got problems, and I see y'all got stuff, and we gonna support y'all in y'all thing. Y'all gonna support us in our thing, and we gonna fight the man together, whatever. He didn't. And there was no collaborative spirit that I saw in that at all. But I get what you're saying. Like comedians will try and it shouldn't be no difference, and try to really push things into more. Just they try to sow positivity. And, like Ralph tried to sow positivity. Dave wasn't trying to sow positivity. I think Dave was really trying to just stand on this shit because he was criticized. And I think his ego got the best of him. And he couldn't let it go. And he really should have let it go. You really should have let this whole thing go. Like, I think he really felt like, I have to win. I'm Dave Chappelle. I can use my words to make me win and walk off into the sunset, a true fucking hero. And another section of this really is like, essentially Dave pulled a Dorito Jesus. If y'all don't know who Dorito Jesus is, that's Trump. So he pulled the Dorito Jesus with this whole thing, really, because what Dave Chappelle did with his words, and this is really, in my mind, this is the real harmful shit that he did. Like, what he did was he empowered other people to stand firm in their transphobia and in their homophobia, in their anti-LGBT spirit. He empowered those people to do that shit, because every space I went to, everybody was like, yeah, that's right. And all them people, they just too sensitive. And everybody who was on that shit is people that I know for a fact are anti-LGBT. They're homophobic as shit. But they were using Dave Chappelle's words, and if they're nowhere near as intelligent as Dave Chappelle. These are a bunch of dumbass, fake intellectual motherfuckers, and they used his words and went out there to validate their own bullshit. So, that is the true damage that he did, is that people now feel validated to be anti-LGBT, to invalidate the existence and the experiences of trans women, and they feel validated to walk around and call trans women men and just be anti-LGBT in general because of what he said. And if Dave Chappelle did it, Dave Chappelle earned a reputation for being an intelligent, thought-provoking man who has always been on the right side of history. And now bigots will use his words to stand on the wrong side of history. They're going to use his words as shield and cover. Like, oh, well, that's Dave Chappelle co-signed on it. And, Dave Chappelle was just saying it was like this. And, he preached the word, everybody. And I hate it. And I hate that, people did that, because he brought out bigotry in people the same way that Trump did. And that's why I say Dave pulled a Dorito Jesus.
That's a pretty good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And it shit really happened. And that is the worst part of this whole thing. I think Dave Chappelle is fucking hilarious. I think he's funny. He just wasn't equipped, and his hubris and his ego got in the way and made him feel like he had to win this battle of freedom speech or whatever the fuck it is.
That's the thing
with the community.
When it comes to that, they feel like they have, if they feel like if they start catering to a certain audience, that means they're dumbing their own comedy down. They're dumbing themselves down. And a lot of fans are not going to rock with them because of that.
Yes.
But it's different ways you could do that to collaborate with your message. Yes, we get it, you're a comedian, but do something to make it collaborative. You know what I mean? That's basically what I was trying to say. My first thought when you came to me, my first thought process, be more, just have it like a collaboration. It's a lot of things, me personally, I'm not a fan of me personally, that I'm not a fan of what the LGBT community do. I'm not, me personally, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit there and hate them or dislike them and disrespect them because of it. Nah, that's corny. I'm not going to do that. If anything, I'm trying to help them to elevate from that. Yo, switch that up. Don't do this. Don't do that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do.
And
that.
to Roy's point, you know, Roy was like, so we got to continue to empower people to live in their truth. Let's be real. You know, flaring up this bigotry in a lot of spaces makes it harder for guys to live in their truth. It makes it harder for guys to accept themselves because their environment is co-signing everything. Dave Chappelle, yeah, they just a bunch of men. Look at the Adam's apple. This, and this. Oh my goodness. Why did he talk about women's vaginas like that? Like, I don't even understand what the point of that shit was. If the point of your shit is comedy, why are you talking about vaginas on post-op trans women? Like, that shit was like, I'm like, why are we even doing this, bro?
Sound a little curious to me.
He just, you know, I don't hate Dave Chappelle. I still think he's one of the greatest comedians of all time, but you know, he's done some damage here. And I hope at some point he gains a new understanding, a new knowledge to the point where he can circle back and be like, look, man, all right, y'all, so that thing that happened back then, I was off. And maybe he could bring it, because I think Dave Chappelle has the power to bring understanding to the masses in a way that's funny and brilliant, in the same way he does it with racism. He brought a lot of understanding to people that don't hear from people like him, or don't even take time to listen to people like him. He makes shit clear to folks. And I really think he could do the same thing for the trans community and the LGBT community at large. And I would love to see him really get some understanding and really humanize people that aren't just his one friend in comedy. And, you know, I'm not even shitting on the girl that's his friend. You know, I totally get comics love inappropriate shit. And, you know, he wrapped it up trying to honor his friend.
Right.
But it was still done in such a haphazard way. I just wish he could just be like, yo, look, my friend, she loved all the most inappropriate shit in the world. So I got to say these jokes just to honor her memory. Blah. Just get it out there. And I mean, I don't know if more people would have understood it, but it was just, you know, and I want to get some more of these comments in here. Alexandria says all he did was put a target on trans people's backs. I read so many hateful comments online about LGBT people after the special aired. Again, yes, he pulled a Dorito Jesus. He really gave people a reason to be open about their bigotry and hate, which is crazy. Saying Mike says he knew what he was doing. I hope not. I don't know. I would like to think he's an intelligent man, but you know, it's probably an oblivious one at that too. But I don't know. I hope. I could do is hope. I don't know. But Jessica Kiefer says he doesn't understand the difference between sex and gender. That was a big piece of it. His whole premise that gender is a fact and you can't change it was based off of him is not understanding basic shit like this.
Right.
There is a difference between biological sex and gender.
Right, it is.
So, you know, I'm going to get in these last few comments here. Jessica Kiefer says, and let's not forget, he said trans and the LGBTQ plus was punching down, all while he's punching down and not up. So with that, we're going to go into that next section about this. Let me take that comment down because that kind of relates to what the other part of the discussion I wanted to have was really, why the erasure? I feel like his caricature of trans women throughout that special was as white trans women only. And his whole explanation for, well, I'm not punching down because they're white. That was it. Well, they're white. They're up there. How could I be punching down on somebody that isn't oppressed by me? And you know, that shit was absolutely trash. It was a loophole that obviously can't withstand even just one level of argument. But you know, his caricatures, when he did his trans voice, he went to his white voice. We all know Dave Chappelle has a white voice.
Yep.
And you know, he even said it in his sketch. He was like, "Man, I just when I thought I had white men cornered, then they turn around and become women." And it's just like, okay, but you know, there's like lots of different. That's every race, bro. Like
every race.
The community is not just white trans women. Right. I guess that's who he may be in proximity to, but you know, trying to make this a racial thing is kind of weird. And trying to be like anti-trans based on race is weird as fuck. And it doesn't hold up. And I think that, you know, he really kind of tried to craft things and angle an argument in a way that people can accept it, because it confirms biases against the trans community in general. But, you know, what is this? Cookie Meal says, the Black cis community is at war with the trans community, and we all need to admit it. That's correct. But, you know, what Dave Chappelle did was, you know, let's just be real. His audience isn't Black. Not completely. He has a very mixed audience. Yeah, he's a mainstream guy. He's the fucking top comedian out there. So it isn't, he's reaching beyond just the Black community. He's reaching a lot of people. And, you know, he's, again, people learn through Dave Chappelle. This special, people learned about the trans community. And what did they learn about the trans community through this special? Hate. They learned it's excusable to perpetuate their bullshit hate. But then also, all the misinformation, bro. Shit tons of misinformation. So all trans men pee out their butt, apparently. Wow. All trans women stand up when they pee. All trans women have Adam's apples and thick necks, and I forget what else he said, but it was all these like features that he's put. It was just crazy. I'm like, dude. So now you're reinforcing negative stereotypes about trans women in general to the masses, and people listen to you because there's people that don't hear shit else about the trans community outside of his one special or his 3 or 4 specials. They don't hear nothing about it. That's all they know. And they're not in proximity to nobody. Said what, bro?
I said they're not going to try to educate themselves on anything about it. They're going to just speak on the bad stigmas of it. That's it.
Absolutely. It's confirmation bias, really.
And it'll become popular to use the misinformation and talk about the misinformation and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Because a celebrity said it, you know, a well-known, you know, funny comedian, and a lot of people know and love that was in their household with the whole, you know, from the beginning, Rick James, bitch, and all that stuff. It'll be, you know, popular to use that misinformation.
Absolutely. And I mean,
it's like popular with Dorito Jesus. You know, a lot of people are still using misinformation that Dorito Jesus put out. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still hear people. You know, it would. You know, even though the virus started in China, you know, people are still going around calling it the China virus and stuff like that. You know, like come on. Let's call it properly. It's, you know, COVID-19 coronavirus. Come on. You know, I mean, it's something as simple as that, but you know, it's, he's, you know, Trump said it. So yeah, well, I'm going to say it too. So not to get off on Dorito Jesus.
No. It's like, there are parallels here. Absolutely parallels. And I think Chantrell really hit on something here. She says, because as much as they try to devalue us, we are valued. And to many men, as valuable as cis women, he wants to control the mind to see no value. And that's kind of what he did here. That's really what he did was, I mean, look, the man's a brilliant comedian, but in this special, he invalidated the fuck out of trans women, calling them men, talking about his friend, and like, yeah, what I'm gonna say to that kid is, I knew your father. And when she committed suicide, I knew she was a man because that was the most gangster shit of all time. And it's like, come on, Dave. What are we doing here, man? Like, can you validate one trans woman's experience, please? Like, how the fuck is this so difficult? Like, I guess, it just would have been really great if he was like, hey, you know what? I met with a bunch of people, and these girls is funny, and this girl over here, like, he could talk about all the girls that he met and how crazy characters they were, and that shit could have been funny as fuck. And they're like, yeah, but you know what? They my sisters now fucks with them, and I'm glad I learned from them X, Y, and Z. Like, it could have been really good comedy,
right? Like, he could have. That's what I'm saying. He could have did that, but he's not.
There's so much that I think there's so many different directions that he could have went, and he didn't have to go in this direction. And that's really where I sit with all this. He made a mistake, and I hope that he realizes at some point that he needs to. I hope at some point he realizes he could have done better. He could have done better. And I think I just have faith in his intelligence, and I hope that he can turn that ship around because, yes, the tire stereotypes and all that shit is just bad. And, you're literally giving people a reason to be like, yo, that's right. They're all men. They're not women. It's like invalidating as fuck. And, like, I guess men who come across this shit and listen to my criticisms of this shit, like, real talk, bro, I ain't hating. I'm not a Dave Chappelle hater. This has not turned me sour on him as a whole. I will still go back and watch Chappelle's show. And really, he had 3 seasons of a show and only one mention of trans people. That was on the Dude's Night Out sketch. And those are like straight up drag queens. But obviously they're not going to get real trans women for the show. So it's okay. It's a low budget comedy. Fine.
It was meant to be a gimmick comedy.
Yeah, of course. And it's but I have to be honest, y'all, and I know that people want to hear differently, and I know everybody, wants there to be a call to cancel and all that stuff. I could be critical of the man and not cancel him. And I am critical of him. I'm seeing that he's fucked some shit up. And, this, like Jessica says, this was a missed opportunity. It was a missed opportunity for him. He really could have educated people. I'm sorry, let me read Jessica's comment. Said it, reusing her words. Jessica says this was a missed opportunity for him. I wish he educated himself prior to the special. Right. Whether he likes it or not, he's educating an entire generation. And that's true. And for a lot of the old millennials like myself, he's confirming a lot of ignorance within us. Really. So, and it was Alexandria says, do y'all think he fears he would lose his Black audience if he shows support for the LGBT people? A lot of Black people are not as liberal as they claim to be. It wouldn't matter if he did because he's got such a large white audience. It doesn't matter. I've been to his shows. It was literally like, from what I saw, it was probably a good like 5% Black. So like he's got more than enough. He's got more than enough followers that he's crossed that threshold where he doesn't depend on the Black community for support. Now, Lil Rel or what's his name? God damn it. I'm forgetting all these young boys' names, but all the young Instagram guys, yeah, they need that shit. They haven't crossed over in that way yet. And
DC Young Fly.
That's who it was. DC Young Fly and the 85 South guys.
Right. Chico Big,
all the people that appear on Wild and Out, like, yeah, they haven't crossed over yet. No. Corey Holcomb, he still needs a lot of support from the Black community. But let me drop this in here for Corey real quick. Because they see you, bruh. They see you. Nicole says, side note, Corey is looking full on Mr. Darcy tonight. So they seeing you, bruh. They seeing you. Oh, wait, Rena. Let me get Rena's comments in here. Rena says, I don't see it as a missed opportunity. He absolutely accomplished what he intended. It was to drag the trans community. And that part of it was like really kind of foul because he made the trans community out to be the villains. Like he was telling the story about his friend who committed suicide. And in that story, he made the trans community the villains in that shit. Like, and they read her, they canceled her and trashed her on social media, and then she killed herself. Just because she didn't go with what they said that, you know, and they came for her and this, and this, and it was just like, yo, okay. That is really kind of foul how he tried to position the trans community to be the villains in that story. He really did.
A lot of them do that though.
Yeah, and that's true. But nobody's spending 30 minutes on the community. I mean, I guess he's got specials for days and days, but most of these guys are trying to get out their best material. For these specials, they take all the best material they've been using for the last 2-3 years. Yeah, and then shove it all in a half-hour special.
Right.
And hold on a second. So Wild Out has they been going to be in on Candy. I'm sorry, they be going in on Candy.
That's what you meant to say. Candy, well, Candy's not trans.
Oh. I haven't watched Wild and Out in a while. I do see it on Pluto.
I know who you're talking about, but Candy's not
okay.
trans.
So here we getting close on running out of time, y'all. But I want to get these comments in because I want everybody to, feel heard here. So, Fair77 says he didn't just invalidate us; he invalidated y'all transgenderous men. This is why men shame themselves and some perpetuate violence against us. It's a never-ending cycle of trauma and abuse. And completely agree.
I agree.
Completely agree. I think he made it tougher for guys to live in their truth. I think he contributed to the problems tonight. I really hate that he's a part of the problem, but he is. He really is. And let's see here. Angel, because I don't think I've had her comment on here yet. Angel says he's on a mission. This isn't a one-off. He has some weird bone to pick. That's really what it, again, his ego won't let him let this go.
No.
Really, Dave, I don't know if you ever watch this shit, if anybody related to Dave or in his camp sees this shit, please tell him to just let it go. Let it go. You said your piece. Now, he did say, this is the end of it. I'm never talking about this shit again on any of my specials. Well, then I hope that is what happens. I hope you get more specials, and I hope you can take your comedy in a different direction.
Yeah, him saying that too almost kind of proves it is him trying to make a stand and defending his ego or whatnot.
Yeah,
that right there proves it.
But here's the thing, though. Like, and I know not everybody's going to agree with me on this one, but like, look, I'm here for everybody getting the jokes. I came up when In Living Color was on, so we was watching Men on Films. Handyman, they had stuff for every group you could think of was catching jokes.
Everybody,
and the shit was hilarious. And I just, I don't. And then this is just me as an outsider, as a member a man who is not obviously not a trans woman or in the trans community, but like, yo, throw a joke here and there to the trans community. Everybody get the jokes. That's cool. Do it. I mean, this is a man that got jokes about crack babies and babies selling drugs on the street and shit, selling drugs in the club. Like, cool. Have at it. He got plenty more specials coming up. He's gonna get hired. People, if Netflix says no to him, Hulu, HBO Max, Paramount, somebody's gonna be fighting to get him. They're gonna get him. And I would love for him to hit one joke for everybody, and then like he got a checklist he got to check off for every show. But I mean, that is his humor is, irreverent humor that sheds a light on shit that people don't normally talk about or normally face. So I don't know. I hope and pray that he learns. I hope and pray that he gets some more education. But we're gonna wrap up this conversation. I really just wanted to speak on this because it turned into a really big thing. And I'm like, yo, well, we gotta offer up, our opinions as men on this shit, because I know it's a lot of other folks out there commenting right now. So everybody, if you are watching this on YouTube, please like this video. Again, the Boosie lovers, the haters are dropping in. They're dropping all sorts of comments on my shit and downvoting a lot of my stuff. And, especially the Boosie video that we did and the videos where I call out certain parts of the Black community on shit. They don't like that. So please, please, please like the video. Go like all the rest of the videos. Support your boy. And Corey, tell them where they can find you, man.
Well, y'all can find me on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel called Librium Curitate, which is Latin for free love. And if you can't really find it through that, because I've even typed the name myself, it's kind of hard to find. You can always just look up "I love trans women," and you'll probably find my video. I'm wearing my yellow hard hat and welder's cap, so it shouldn't be too hard to find me that way. So yeah, I appreciate any watchers, any subscribers. Be cool.
Sorry, Neff just dropped this comment, so I really want to acknowledge this. She said, being someone who was shamed in a nightclub as a man by a comedian is not humorous or something to be made light of. Absolutely.
Never said
and that's this whole thing, like, well, he's a comedian. I'm like, yo, we can't give a pass for everything. Like, at some point, you got to take responsibility for what the fuck you say.
Yeah, I
and
understand
how you handle that.
That comedian, like, I forgot who said it. Yeah, Pierre said it. Pierre said this a long time ago. This comedian Pierre that be on Comedy Hype. He said that don't take away the comedian's integrity to do the comedy, regardless to what. And I kind of understand it. Do I agree with it? No. But I understand where he's coming from when he says this.
I mean, make the attempt, you crash and burn, but I don't know. I just reserve the right to just not fuck with any comedians that I don't really like. Like, I don't fuck with George Lopez after he was making jokes about how bad it is to bring a black man home in a Hispanic house. And I'm like,
but
yeah, I know that's the reality, but let's not kiki over that shit. Let's not have a good laugh and a chuckle over that one like it's supposed to be that way.
Right.
So I don't encourage that shit, dude. I'm out. Fuck you. So real talk. Anywho, sorry, as we wrap this whole shit up here, everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We finally hit 400 subscribers, so I appreciate everybody for doing that. Watch us on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter, and also, hold on, let me pull the damn thing up. Can I pull it up? Let's see if I can pull this damn thing up. I don't know if I can pull this up. Post. Let's see if this is. Damn it, I can't see my page right. There we go. Hold on a second. I gotta X out some shit on my page. But please, everyone, this is my first public announcement about this shit, but it's gonna grow from here on out. So we do have a Patreon. So by all means, go to patreon.com, search Men Like Us. We are having dope ass Thursday night conversations, Men Like Us after hours. And, we had a really dope conversation last night with my homegirls, Anastasia and Taylor. Me and Corey just sit there and kicked it. I'm definitely going to change that thumbnail, but it was the dope show. So we have exclusive content that's only on the Patreon channel. We are going to be having conversations every Thursday on Patreon. They are super unfiltered conversations, but they're only available to my Patreon listeners. So please jump in there, support the show, help me grow this shit. And we're gonna get some more content on there. I'm already recording new stuff, but there will be plenty of exclusive content on there, ladies, guys. And it will be streams where y'all can really interact with us and really dictate the course of the show. We're taking show ideas from live viewers, we'll even let y'all on once in a while. Like it's gonna be pretty dope. It's definitely something we're not gonna be doing on a Friday nights here on the public streams, but you're gonna get you're definitely gonna get a dope level of content. We got some really, really cool stuff coming. So definitely look out for that. So patreon.com, men like us, subscribe. It's only $10 a month. You ain't gonna miss that $10. My drinks are more than that. Come on now. So anyway, with I'm sorry, Trill, did you I didn't give you a chance to promote nothing, bro.
Nah, just want everybody to know that I am a part now of a show called the Come Out Talk Show. You know what I mean? Please add the page. It's on Facebook. Please add the page. It's on the Come Out Talk Show. I'm with my partner Yonsei Jones, and we basically do interviews for local people and people that have a real story or promoting their business. That's what we're doing right now. We just launched. We just did the first episode last Saturday. And yeah, we're trying to do more. And also, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at King Cleatrell. All right, hit me up on all that. And yes, I do take messages from anybody. Everybody that hit me up, please just hit me up and be respectful. That's all I ask.
There you go. And real quick here, I'm gonna share my screen one more time so we can show this. The Come Out Talk Show on Facebook. This is it. So
right.
That's Yonsei, more Yonsei, but yeah. You'll get some Trill on there too. But yeah, please support the brother in his new podcast. All right, y'all. This is the podcast that's been a year in the making, goddamn it, and it's gonna happen. So shit. Well, with that, we out, y'all. We catch y'all next week. Look out for a stream on YouTube or Twitch. Or actually, look out for a stream on YouTube probably tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to do some live streaming on while playing Grand Theft Auto. So we got some gaming streams, and the conversation gets extra raw there. So please set up your notifications right so you can make sure you get notified when we go live. All right, y'all.